Indiana Jones, Speed, The Sting, Snatch, career opportunities, and more.
Welcome to another episode of 4K Kings. I'm Matt.
I'm Russ.
And let's get right into the news.
Indiana Jones. Always knew someday you'd come walking back through my door.
So out June 18th on 4K Ultra HD from Paramount Home Media is the Indiana Jones 4K box set. This was previously released as a Blu-ray box set a little while ago, but Indiana Jones is now celebrating its 40th anniversary. 40 years of Indiana Jones, and now they're bringing it in 4K. All four films presented in your 4K Dolby Vision with your HDR10, with the remixed Dolby Atmos sound. The note that they have on there says that each film was meticulously remastered from 4K scans of the original negative, approved by Spielberg himself. This set is being released in a regular slip box. They're also releasing this in like a Steelbook edition. However, when you look closely at it, they don't look like Steelbooks exactly. They look like those metal packs, if you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
If you look on the Best Buy website, it says Steelbook in the name. But when you scroll in deeper to actually look at the product itself, it looks like the metal pack, which has those hinges on them. You know, like that's like one of the main differences. There's like a hinge versus the Steelbook just kind of like opens up. So you can see those hinges on the product. So I don't know what's going on here, but it appears to be a metal pack edition in the early photos at least. So let's talk about the features for a second. You get all of the original features from the Blu-ray box set essentially. Like that's kind of it. Nothing new here at all. It's just 7 hours of material, which is a lot of material from the previous set. So what more they probably could have gotten, I don't know. But they're basically just bringing all that over. So if you've never gotten this set before, it is a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of good stuff too. But you're not getting anything new. Essentially, all you're going to get is the upgraded discs. In those 7 hours of materials, you've got making of featurettes, documentaries, behind the scenes, on-set footage, like all that kind of stuff. They are giving you digital copies of all four films, but no Blu-rays. So you're just getting 4K discs. A lot of times, you know, you'll get the 4K and the Blu-ray and the box itself. But a lot of sets I've seen lately have been doing this, where they're just giving you the 4K disc, and that's it.
I was just about to ask you that. Is there any purpose of even including the original Blu-ray disc? I mean, I'd assume if there were any new customers out there purchasing players, they're going to buy a 4K player.
Right.
Price-wise, I can't imagine there's that big of a difference anymore.
Right. A lot still come as a 4K and a Blu-ray and a digital, and I wonder if at some point they're just going to stop giving you the Blu-ray. You have to pick one or the other, because I feel like they're just like leaving money on the table at that point, especially with physical discs going down.
Yeah, and it made sense as far as when they were trying to sell 4K. It's like, well, hey, start buying them now. You have the Blu-ray now. But now if you want that portable experience, you have the digital code. You don't need the Blu-ray. You can play it anywhere. In this day and age, it's pointless. Extra pointless for a film as terrible as Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
You are getting some kind of collectible packaging and booklet with this. So we'll talk about the packaging. The booklet, not really sure what's in that. Probably some photos, probably some making ofs or whatever. There is an interesting note that they mention here, though, that I'm curious about. And it says, extensive visual effects work done to ensure the most pristine and highest image quality. Is that like some George Lucas tinkering? Is that some...
No. That is some Steven Spielberg tinkering.
What is that? What does that mean, do you think?
Exactly what you rightfully attributed George Lucas to in this conversation. And I'm tired of George Lucas getting all of the shit over the years when Spielberg has done the same... Oh, God, he's done the same stuff. Do the whole E.T. thing, making walkie-talkies instead of guns.
Yeah.
He's tinkered with his films just as much. He bullshitted us on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when that was being made. Oh, this is going to look so naturalistic. We're going to go back to the cinematography style of Raiders of the Lost Ark and all that. Yeah. The film came out. We've got CGI gophers. We've got a bunch of nonsense. I don't trust Spielberg.
This is very interesting how it's worded.
Well, yeah, and exactly.
Extensive visual effects work done to ensure...
It's vague. It's intentionally vague. And what I interpret it as, going on the history of Spielberg, is that basically we're going to get the first three movies looking exactly like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
So this might
Nobody wants Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in this set.
At all.
Nobody.
So that's actually a good point then to raise, where maybe, you know, this maybe shouldn't be like a blind buy. You should maybe check and wait to see what some of the early reviews say before you pick this up. If anyone's mentioning things like that, it's like, you know, I've got the Blu-ray set already and it's great. I wouldn't mind having a 4K set of this, but if I'm going to upgrade, it better be worth the upgrade and not just some strange polishing. But let's talk about the packaging for a second. So It's not inspired at all. It does not look good. It's all white. I don't know why films that have notoriously great poster art keep just getting stuff changed for re-releases. They don't look good.
When there is literally a documentary made on the man who created your poster art, chances are it's good poster art.
It is.
Why mess with perfection?
Why? Right.
And since Disney bought Lucasfilm, they're going to make more Indiana Jones. This will not be a definitive set if you are a completist.
There is another indie on the way. It will probably suck, but
Can't be worse than Crystal Skull. I have never upgraded on this series from DVD because I refuse to buy Crystal Skull.
Well-
if they release Raiders of the Lost Ark in a 4K standalone release, day one purchase. The movie's a classic.
Yep.
I'm not buying a set with Crystal Skull. Sorry.
You have chosen wisely.
I'm going to chime in on that and actually say that most likely you're probably right. They probably will release these as standalone 4K discs. There's no news on that, but it's likely that that'll happen. So if you want to skip this box set and Crystal Skull and just get the ones that you want, the first three, hold out.
Personal opinion, I know I've referenced Raiders of the Lost Ark being a classic. The original three, Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, they're no slouches.
No, they're amazing.
They're nothing to sneeze at. They're great sequels. Not
They
as
are.
good as Raiders, but that was a perfect, nice little trilogy that they decided to go back and ruin with Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I've never seen Crystal Skull, thankfully. Do you care to elaborate why it's so bad?
Harrison Ford's too old. The CGI was terrible.
How about Karen
It
Allen?
Felt nothing. Yeah, I loved bringing her back. As a big Raiders fan, I loved Marion coming back. It added nothing.
Was
honestly,
she good in it, though?
No.
She wasn't even?
No, I mean, she was
Karen's
fine
awesome,
as an
yeah.
actress, but what I'm saying is the character. They had nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
They brought her back to just be a typical love interest, when if you love Raiders, you know, Marion wasn't a damsel in distress. She wasn't Kate Capshaw in Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Marion was tough. Marion handled her business.
I learned to hate you in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And in Crystal Skull, it's just a, hey, let's bring the woman back to give Indy a happy ending. And it's,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's the worst kind of fan service.
And at this point, too, like you mentioned, he seemed really old in Crystal Skull. How old does she seem in relation to him? Because, I mean, they were a love interest, but I feel like she still looks fairly young, and he looks like her grandpa.
Are you aware of the controversy of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No.
Okay, well, Marion is the daughter of a peer of Indiana Jones. And if you do the math, it turns out they had a relationship previously before we meet them in Raiders. If you do the math, Indiana Jones was technically dating Marion when she was probably like 12 years old or something.
So how does
Big fan of pedophilia?
Yeah,
Pick
great.
up
Shout
the
out,
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
shout out to pedophilia. I don't even think I mentioned it just now, but I've never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Dude, it's
I mean, I'm excited to see Karen
best-
Allen in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah, it's
So if this set alone would propel me to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, I feel like that's good enough. I am interested in getting this in 4K. I'd be interested to see, but based on that little thing, I don't know what's going to happen. If it comes out and it's garbage, I'll just be happy with the Blu-ray set I already have and watch Raiders of the Lost Ark in all its glory in that moment. So you're holding off. I feel like I'm going to hold off. You should probably hold off too, but let us know what you think down below.
There's no time for love, Dr. Jones.
You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do? What do you do?
So out May 4th in 4K Ultra HD from Disney and 20th Century Fox is Speed, the Ultimate Collector's Edition. This movie is now back out. It's being remastered in 4K with the 5.1 DTS soundtrack, which was actually carried over from the previous Blu-ray. There was some discussion when this was first announced whether or not this was going to have a Dolby Atmos sound. First, people were saying that it was only going to be on the streaming version. Then it was said that it was only going to be on the disc itself. And now it's been cleared up that it will not have Atmos at all. It's just going to have the original 5.1 DTS soundtrack from the previous release. So this is, again, being released in a regular edition and a Steelbook edition. The previous Blu-ray for this was released nearly 15 years ago. So it's really a long time ago since this has been put out. And this seems like a movie that would be put out a lot, but I guess it hasn't been. I guess what was weird about the Blu-ray when it was released was that it was lacking features from the original DVD that was released. So you'd have the DVD, it was like a 2-disc special edition. It had all these features on it. Then the Blu-ray was released and it had some features as well, but it was missing some things from the previous DVD. This has brought it all together. So you got everything here. So the Blu-ray DVD features are all here, which is behind the scenes stuff, location stunts, visual effects, making of action sequences like the bus jump, the metro rail crash, extended scenes, making of documentary, audio commentary from Jan de Bont himself, and the Speed music video from Billy Idol.
What? There was a Speed music video from Billy Idol. How
Billy
am I not
Idol.
aware of this?
I don't know that song at all. What song was that? Was it in the movie?
What producer in 1995 was like, let's get Billy Idol on
Billy
this?
Idol.
Billy Idol's tearing up the charts.
I mean, it is a cool Keanu Reeves movie. I mean, it's a cool movie in his catalog as
holds
well.
up.
Do you think it holds up?
I think
What's
I think
the
this
problem?
movie, I had the same feeling in 94, 12 years old. It's goofy. It's a goofy movie.
It is.
But let me say this. It's fun.
It's entertaining as hell.
Fun. I'm not a big Sandra Bullock guy, but she kills it. Like, there's chemistry. And, you know, Dennis Hopper. Whenever you get Dennis Hopper as a madman, you're gold.
Yeah.
You're at least going to be entertained with that.
Do they think I'm doing this for fun?
Yeah.
It's fast-paced. It's popcorn fluff entertainment, and it's very, very well done popcorn fluff entertainment.
Oh, Speed's a roller coaster ride. It doesn't matter who's in this movie. This is a great, great action picture.
Yep.
I can't go as far with my love on it due to Point Break existing, which is the superior cheesy Keanu Reeves action vehicle, but Speed is nothing to sneeze at.
I'd love them to bring Point Break on in 4K. I mean, bring it.
That would be a day one purchase.
Yeah,
I don't
bring
even
it.
care if the transfer was terrible. I would just support Point Break.
Yeah, I mean, bring it out. I mean, I really like this movie. Like you said, it's fun. It's like Die Hard on a bus. Jan de Bont, you know, he's back. He's doing his thing. Sandra Bullock, I totally had a crush on her when this came out. And like you said, they have great chemistry. You can tell, like, they both kind of, like, had a crush on each other.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, you
And-
can tell
and-
it's happening on the screen. I mean, I know we talk about this a lot lately, but I feel like it is worth mentioning. I mean, the art here, again, it's decent. The regular art, it's got, you know, they've photoshopped Keanu and Sandra in there. Steelbook is just, I don't know what's going on with it. That looks like Speed, the video game or something. I don't know why. We just said it not that long ago. I don't know why studios just keep having to change the art. You know, it's like, I guess it's to get fresh eyes on it, maybe when it's on the shelf for people to see it. Who are the people that are buying these discs, right? Who is going out to buy Speed in 4K when you can stream it on HBO Max and it's done all this stuff? It's collectors. It's people that care to own physical media, and they probably want what they love and what is the original Indiana Jones art, the original Speed art, you know? Like, maybe if a cool upgrade to the art came around, I'm sure people would be interested, but 9 times out of 10, the shit we see is worse than the original poster. I'm sorry.
Speed never had great artwork.
It
What
was
the
okay.
original cover? It was
was
what I just
essentially-
said. It was a close-up of Keanu Reeves with
It
like
was
fire
and there's like
behind him.
explosion. I mean, give it to me.
This isn't a title that ever had great artwork, so
That's
while
true.
this is trash, it's consistent
It's true.
with Speed's history.
I'm with you, and I actually think they did not. I think it's the Steelbook maybe I'm the most, because I feel like I haven't seen a good
Yeah.
Steelbook art in forever. I feel like they always just try to be
Steelbook
hip.
art is always whack.
They just try to make it hip or
never-
something.
yeah.
You know, like that.
Totally.
The original art here has just been redone, and that's okay. But anyway, thanks Disney for releasing this physically. You know, keep buying it because Disney's like notoriously stopping all of this stuff. So, and eventually I'll probably pick this up whenever I feel like rewatching this film. I'll probably go and grab this.
Yeah, I've never owned this on any. It's exactly what you just said. I would maybe stumble upon this on cable and HBO Max. I don't need it on my shelf. What brings me back to this movie?
If you wanted to have a Keanu Reeves film night, throw it in there.
Point Break's better. John Wick's better. If we're just talking Keanu Reeves in general, I was sticking to action movies. There's a ton of better Keanu
Or
Reeves
action.
movies than Speed.
Well, make it
River's
action.
Edge is better. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is better. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is better.
Parenthood.
Point Break is better. Parenthood's on par with Speed. It's on par.
Keanu, we love you.
Vaya con Dios.
So out May 18th on 4K Ultra HD from Universal is The Sting in 4K. No word yet on the transfer or sound mix or really anything as far as that's concerned. A lot of what's being said so far, some people are concerned about the original master being used, which wasn't restored at all previously. Originally a Blu-ray digibook of this that came out. It was an anniversary edition. And it was solid, but again, people complained about how it looked. So there's keeping their fingers crossed that maybe this is going to right some of those wrongs. So there is a regular edition of this coming out, and then there's also a steelbook of this coming out. And the features on both editions are a 3-part documentary on the creation of the film, featuring interviews from Robert Redford, Paul Newman, and a bunch more. And then 3 kind of what seemed like throwaways to me. 100 Years of Universal. This has nothing to do with the Sting. 100 Years of the Universal, Restoring the Classics. 100 Years of Universal, the 70s. And 100 Years of Universal, the lot. So I don't really know what those are. Essentially, when I saw this at first, I was kind of like, okay, this is just some bare bones release of this movie. Hopefully the transfer's good, and maybe that's what will be the selling point here. You know, people that have been mad about the transfer before. But it seemed like this is a movie that I would maybe consider purchasing if that was the case. But then I noticed that for anyone that's interested, that Zavvi is actually doing a little bit more for this movie. The Zavvi one's actually pretty cool. This is the one that I'm interested in getting. It does contain a steelbook, and again, they're using, for once, I know we just trashed steelbook art. They're using original art here, which is pretty cool. And then they're also taking that steelbook and they're sliding it into a slip box, which has actual real footage from the film on it. All the original art has all been illustrated. This actually has a real picture from the film on the actual slip box, which is also pretty cool. So to come with that is a 32-page behind-the-scenes booklet, 4 art cards, a theatrical poster, and as I mentioned, a glossy UV slip box which holds all the contents, which is again different non-illustrated art. So this is a pretty decent looking package that they're putting together. It's still the 4K disc and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely nicer than the standard release.
Yeah, by far. And it's it's $53 for this box and this package. It might come down, maybe not though. This is a really awesome movie. It's really cool that they are putting this out in 4K. It's a shame that Universal themselves didn't really give a shit. This is an incredible film within their catalog. They're just kind of like throwing it back out there and just saying, here, if you want this, come and get it. That makes me feel like they probably aren't doing shit with the transfer again. It's just here, this is one more time. If you were considering getting this or you had not seen it before and you wanted to buy something, this would be probably the one to get at least. You probably wouldn't go back and get the Blu-ray, even though it is a nice digibook. But this set right here is pretty solid if you can get it. It is limited, however. So you'd have to get this while supplies last. Russ, you have not seen this movie?
I have not. I've never seen this thing. I've always been interested in checking this out. It's one of those ones that just always fell on the back burner, always got away.
Yeah.
Maybe this release will be the one to turn all that around.
It is solid. I mean, it's got heavyweights in there, obviously Paul Newman and Robert Redford, but don't forget about Robert Shaw either. I mean,
that's what actually piques my interest the most.
If you're a Robert Shaw fan at all, or even if you're not, you will witness an incredible performance, the perfect villain.
Name's Lonergan. Doyle Lonergan. You're going to remember that, Mr. Shaw, you follow?
He's got a great character. It's a great personality. He's got a great catchphrase.
To pile back on Spielberg in our earlier segment, yes, my thoughts on Jaws are if you take Robert Shaw out of it. Robert Shaw makes Jaws a masterpiece to me.
It's awesome that you can even say that about an actor. Like, to add him into something
he is
makes
the
the
best.
movie. I said the same thing about this. Who you having against them in this movie? You're not. And the same thing like you said with Quint.
Quint's the coolest thing in Jaws. He makes that movie. And yeah, dude, I always forget Robert Shaw is in this.
He's awesome.
I will be checking this out.
Yeah. There's another great movie that Robert Shaw's in, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. He's also the villain in that movie. And that's another really cool movie that he is, again, like just portraying a really bad character.
True, but the only thing, he had the problem of being compared to John Travolta.
Definitely, I am interested in pre-ordering the Zavvi version. I mean, it seems like a nice little box set here. I kind of like the way that all the contents look and the way everything looks here. It's a little on the pricey side, but again, maybe it's worth waiting to see what the transfer is going to turn out to be. However, this is limited, and before you know it, it'll probably be gone. So you kind of maybe have to bite the bullet and just go for it otherwise. But
yeah,
coming soon.
You follow?
Shut up and sit down, you big balls.
So out June 1st on 4K Ultra HD from Sony Entertainment is Snatch. So this is getting a new 4K restoration from the original camera negative with some HDR10 color grading. It's got a new Dolby Atmos track for the US, and it also includes the original UK audio as well. So there you go. Again, seems like the theme today is that it's getting released in a regular edition and a Steelbook edition. On this, you're going to get a few new features. You're going to get a director and producer commentary, deleted scenes with some optional commentary, a making of Snatch featurette, storyboards and galleries and so on. It doesn't seem like it's again, anything they're really pouring a lot of love into, but I will say that there is another Zavvi Steelbook release that is going to have a slip box. So it's going to be more of a, substantial release, but again, it's the same material inside. It's just so crazy to me that everything we've talked about this week has a Zavvi counterpart and has some kind of a Zavvi Steelbook counterpart. Best Buy too. I mean, don't get me wrong. Most of these Steelbooks are being released at Best Buy as well. Zavvi has them too. And when Zavvi gets them, they've got some limited thing that goes with it. It's just like Best Buy may. But for the Zavvi release, there's some sort of slip box that has the original art, but the inside art is just damn ugly. I don't even know what movie I'm looking at.
I was just about to say, as someone who saw this movie once when it came out, I have no idea what that is.
I mean, it's clearly the bare knuckle boxing match at the end, and this is Brad Pitt getting punched out in that one part, but then he comes back to it. But that's not even his outfit. It's not even what he wears. It's not even what any of the fighters wear. I don't know what this is. It's just, again, it's like trying to be hip or trendy or something, but you're going to get a steelbook that has art on it that looks like nothing.
You just described Snatch
I
trying
did.
to be hip and trendy.
So
I take it back.
But
This is the perfect artwork.
Snatch wasn't trying. Snatch succeeded. This is not succeeding in upgrading the level of quality that Snatch had. This is degrading Snatch. Looks just stupid. What's that guy's finger broken? Like, why? Like, what is this even? Anyway, I don't know. It looks like junk. If you were considering getting a steelbook version because that's what you want to get this through Zavvi because they have a slip box that goes around it that has the original art, except it's bright yellow. So at least you don't have to look at whatever that is.
And hopefully you don't have to look at the movie either.
You're going to have to repeat that.
I'm going to disagree. To me, I really enjoy this movie. I know Guy Ritchie, this movie is Guy Ritchie. I mean, I know a lot of people would be like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which was the beginnings of him, and then it kind of came to this movie, and I feel like he finally polished what he was trying to do. And then after that, it was like just every movie after the next was just like complete garbage. Some people like yourself might think this is garbage too.
I think it was complete garbage from
here?
The start.
From here,
No,
he never
from
was
Lock,
good.
Stock too.
He was never good.
I'm not like this and Lock, Stock are the two that are watchable out of his filmography. But there's nothing special. This Guy Ritchie just felt like, to me, the British version of riding that Tarantino wave of the time, and it doesn't work. Producer Matthew Vaughn, when your producer has made better movies than what you're making, that's an issue.
I'll
as
agree.
you just pointed out, as a fan, what has Guy Ritchie done after this that is
Zero.
worth mentioning?
Zero.
But there's been a lot. It's not like he stopped.
No.
He's proven himself to be lackluster.
Definitely lackluster. You know, like, where is this man's storytelling? Where is the
Madonna?
He tried to, I think, repeat the same energy, and I mean that could be it too. But I mean, he had movies right after like Rock and Rolla, and there was some other one that was like trying to redo Snatch and trying to redo Lock, Stock, and it wasn't working. I mean, this kind of perfected that hyperkinetic storytelling where it's like not really linear. It kind of is. There's a lot of stories going on, a lot of characters. They all come together at the end, and it's just like works. Yeah. It ends up working really well, but
I'll sum up my thoughts on Snatch and Guy Ritchie in general with one sentence, and that is, trying to be cool will never be cool.
What do you think about Brad Pitt's performance in it?
It's fine. Again, it's a gimmick.
You think it's a strange role for him?
Do
you think it's a strange, like, what's something that's like kind of even similar?
Similar to where he's a side character that steals the show and memorable, True Romance, 12 Monkeys. Like, it's what Brad Pitt was doing. I don't even feel like for Brad Pitt this is a standout thing. It's gimmicky. He didn't really, it's just, he's mumbling.
I don't think
I don't think there's anything special to what this is or what he did. I don't
think you can reduce the Brad Pitt character to just, he's mumbling.
So it's a heck of two roof lights, the stylish house frame furniture, and the Scar cushions with mats and shack by cover.
I think when he's on the screen, as he always is, and maybe that's to your point a second ago where you're like, he steals the show. When he does show up, he's a presence regardless of the mumbling. Like when he
steals the show as a side character.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not bringing up movies like Seven. I'm bringing up True Romance, 12 Monkeys, which that's what this is. He's part of an ensemble, like True Romance.
He is, and he's a great punctuation point. Yeah, definitely. He's a presence when he's on the screen, when he's like formidable, when you can't understand him, when he's being goofy, when he's being serious. I mean, there's some good meat to that character.
And to be fair, as I pointed out, I've only seen this movie once.
Fuck off.
Yeah, so what the hell do you know?
So half these references, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Dude, yeah, I mean, I've seen this movie a lot. It's just one of those movies. It's like, it's entertaining. It's like Speed. It's like something you can throw on and laugh at and just like get. It's like infinitely quotable. It's entertaining. I mean, it's just not for everyone's cup of tea.
I'm aware
obviously.
there are fans out there. This is just my opinion on it. I'm not.
Sound off below. What do you think? Do you believe Russ or me?
I don't want to take away from the enjoyment people have of Guy Ritchie. Just know you're stupid. It is better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
That we can agree on, even though I haven't seen Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. If you have a choice, I guess you got to get the original box art. That steelbook is just, you can't even look at it. So, but thanks, Zavvi, for putting something out that will at least cover it up.
Now, fuck off.
So out June 22nd on Blu-ray from our good friends at Kino Lorber is Career Opportunities. So Career Opportunities, released by Kino Lorber again. Kino Lorber doing a fantastic job on this release. They've included an audio commentary by the Chicago Critics Film Festival producer. That's the only feature. That's the lone feature on this release. So thank you, Kino. You're always doing a great job. This is a John Hughes movie. So he wrote this, he co-produced this movie, and allegedly there is a director's cut of this movie or a John Hughes cut of this movie like out there that he approves of, whereas he has disavowed this version. Great concept.
Of two people being locked in a fucking
Target.
Walmart.
It's a Target.
Isn't it Target?
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I didn't even know Targets existed back then. This is
John Hughes wrote Targets into
he
existence.
He did. He called it Target, and then it became something. Now, I've never seen this movie before. It caught my interest because I saw that it was being released, and I saw that Jennifer Connelly and Frank Whaley were in it. I was like, "What is this movie?" Frank
You had
Whaley.
never heard of it?
I had never even heard of it.
Oh,
no.
wow. This was always on. This was always on TV in like the early 90s.
Yeah, I had never heard of it. So I did a little digging. I started kind of clicking around and trying to figure out what this movie was. As a kid, for me, you start off with The Labyrinth. You know, she was in movies before that and obviously movies after. But, you know, as far as I was concerned, it was kind of like she was in The Labyrinth, and that's all I really knew her from at that moment in time. But then she kind of had a really interesting career after that and kind of hit a few different movies that were much different than that, maybe more kid-friendly persona. And even this movie, when you look at the cover, there's obviously a little bit more sex appeal going on. So when I clicked it, I was like, man, they're really focusing on the body here. So Labyrinth was 86. This movie, Hotspot, in 1990. That was her first nude scene. And she kind of like did an interview about how comfortable she was with it and so on. But then this movie came out in 91. And there was no nudity or anything, but it was totally, from what I can gather, just like teen, like boner fuel.
Yep.
I mean, if you type this movie into YouTube, there's like 4 clips that come right up.
That I guarantee you, all 4 of them are her riding the mechanical
You are
kids
absolutely correct. There were a lot of complaints about that, I guess, when this release came out, not only from critics, but also from her. They were saying how
that I am not aware of.
they really relied heavily on the promotion and the marketing on her body. And then Jennifer Connelly even came out and was like, yeah, that was kind of strange to me that that's all they really focused on. And I think the takeaway was that the studio knew this movie really wasn't going to be any good. So they really had to focus on just getting people in with the sex appeal. And in fact, I think they even had a cardboard cutout of that scene you're talking about with her on the mechanical bull. And on it, the tagline was, she's going to give him the ride of his life or something like that.
Wow.
So they really went hard on this movie when it came out on the sex appeal of Jennifer Connelly. And I mean, it's definitely got sex appeal. I mean, they're not like covering her up in the movie or anything, but that's all they tried to make this movie about. And it wasn't good, obviously.
And it's strange. This came out when 1991. I mean, I was 9. I don't remember this in theaters at all. So even that story is very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, you know, after this movie, she did a couple of things, I think like Rocketeer, Beautiful Mind at some point. 96, she was in that movie Mulholland Falls, which was another foray into a lot more nudity and some sexual situations. Remember Nick Nolte was in it and John Malkovich?
I only watched it for the Nick Nolte nudity.
And then, of course, Requiem for a Dream in 2000. But I don't know, she's had a really interesting career with these just like, I don't know, interesting... eroticism, you know, just different things. But then in there, of course, is A Beautiful Mind, Pollock. I mean, she's been in really great Academy Award nominated movies. She's in the TNT series Snowpiercer.
I'm sorry, Jennifer.
She's going to be in Top Gun Maverick.
I am sorry.
She was in the original Hulk. I don't have any interest in seeing this movie or picking it up. I just saw this and thought, wow, Jennifer Connelly movie I hadn't heard of, and then just kind of started digging into the lore, and I was like, this is really strange what they did with this here.
You know it's an underrated Jennifer Connelly movie? House of Sand and Fog. Did you ever see that?
No.
That's actually really, it's depressing, but she's great in it. And
she's a great actress.
She is, hands down, yeah.
Great actress. Shout out to you, Jennifer Connelly. Hope you're doing well. Leave a comment below if you're watching.
Rest in peace, Frank Whaley.
So, Russ, I have a few updates here that we might want to share with the people. One that I feel like I'm personally responsible for. I don't know if you recall when we covered the John Hughes 5-movie collection not that long ago, and we were talking about all the movies that were included in there, and you had your Ferris Bueller, of course, your Pretty in Pink, your Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and then the 2 that were released for the very first time ever on Blu-ray, but were in this package, were She's Having a Baby and Some Kind of Wonderful. And when we were talking about this, we were saying, you know, I really wish that they would release some kind of wonderful standalone. It would make sense to do that. And don't you know it, that not only is Some Kind of Wonderful getting a standalone release, but so is Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Pretty in Pink. All three of these are being released by Paramount in Steelbooks, which I know is a little controversial. They're not original regular releases. They're all Steelbooks. However, even though we just shit all over Steelbook art 5 minutes ago, every segment thus far, I am not that angry at the Some Kind of Wonderful Steelbook art. It does not look horrible. It's fine. It's not the original, but it's close. But I am super excited to say that this is now coming out in a standalone release. And you don't have to get the 5 collection if you want to get Some Kind of Wonderful in the US. And that comes out on June 8th.
I want to pay attention to the numbers on this one. I don't think this is going to sell.
I actually thought it was going to come out in their Paramount Presents line. That's the way I thought it was going to come out. Not in,
the opening.
Because that's the kind of features they put on it. That's what I was saying before. The features they put on there reminded me of that, and that's what kind of this is Paramount. Like, why not? But they're putting it out in this Steelbook instead, and they're doing the same thing with Ferris Bueller, and they're doing the same thing with Pretty in Pink.
I get it for Ferris Bueller and Pretty in Pink, and I'm not saying Some Kind of Wonderful doesn't have its fans. I am one of them. I can't envision Some Kind of Wonderful selling as well as Ferris Bueller or Pretty in Pink.
But She's Having a Baby, shafted again. You got it. If you want She's Having a Baby, you still got to get that 5-disc collection. No standalone. Sorry.
Has there been any word on the Zavvi chicken shit edition of Some Kind of Wonderful coming out?
Russ, there's probably not a company out there that has the love for this movie that I do. If Elios Koteas, if the Duncan character from Some Kind of Wonderful could be crafted into a 500-piece limited bust, he would go right here somehow next to JCVD. I mean, that's how seriously I'm taking it. I don't know. I'm excited, dude. I was like torn. I think I even said, I could be wrong, but I think I even said I'm obviously not going to buy this 5-film collection, but please send out an original standalone, and I'll be there on day one. And my friend, I will be there on day one.
Yeah, that's incredible. Good job, Paramount.
Thank you.
I'm buying that.
Good job, Paramount. It was me. We did that. I did that. You can thank me.
As I said, thank you, Paramount.
Another update, and this is more speculation than anything, but I do want to bring attention to it, is we also covered the 4K release of Oldboy not that long ago.
Yes.
I don't know that I was going to just run out right away and get that. And, considering the track record of releases for this film, including box sets that they, have come out all over the place that are all really nice. Mm-hmm. That, for me at this point, I would just wait for a 4K box set to come out before I take the dip into the Oldboy, Vengeance trilogy again. At the time of us speaking on that, Oldboy 4K from Arrow was just announced, and then we had talked about it being released through Zavvi or re-released through Zavvi. But in about 1 month's time, on April 23rd in Germany, a company called Cape Light Pictures are releasing the other two, which is Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance, in these 4K digibooks, which are really, really nice. They're not releasing Oldboy. They're only releasing those two, which to me, again, I'm just going to throw it out there that there's discs out there now that are 4K releases. It's just maybe a matter of time before all three are put together by someone. Some studios are already doing it. This one, Arrow, and now you've got this Cape Light Pictures. Maybe there's a box set in the future. So just throwing that out there in case you were torn like me whether or not to get the Oldboy release.
Good update.
That's a solid update right there. I'm going to tell you right now, that's solid. And then, Ross, I know you had an update. You got an email from Arrow directly about your Demons release.
Yes, from arrowuk.co.
What do Demons have to say?
There is an error on... you're going to have to look it up. I don't know.
Okay, so this is what the email says, direct from Arrow. Hi, Arrow customer. Thank you so much for buying Demons directly from us. We hope you've been enjoying it as much as we enjoyed putting it together.
Class.
That is classy. Unfortunately, it has come to our attention that the soundtrack for the U.S. theatrical cut of Demons contains an error. At around the 62-minute mark, the audio incorrectly reverts to the separate international English soundtrack for approximately 12 minutes. We understand that this is disappointing for fans who are looking forward to experiencing this distinct version of the film in the form in which it was originally shown in U.S. cinemas in 1985. We have corrected the issue, and we now have replacement discs ready to send out. It's pretty decent.
It is. One thing that should be noted about this announcement, though, I received this email directly because I ordered directly from Arrow.
Oh.
If you did not pick up the Demons limited edition set through Arrow, say wherever you did, you are going to need to email Arrow directly to get your replacement discs. Anyone who's a fan of physical media who follows this stuff, this happens. Arrow is great with this. You just contact them, give them information, and they just ship it out to you.
Shout out to Arrow.
I haven't received mine yet, but I was impressed. Arrow's just like, hey,
it's coming.
For being a great customer, don't do nothing. We got you. It's coming. Again, that's just one more example of why Arrow is a great company.
How do you think something like this comes about? You think fans pick this up?
Oh, for sure.
Like someone realized that and like reached out to them right away.
Yeah. And I think in many consumers' minds that is a minuscule error, but like you said, this is what's keeping home media, physical media alive. It's the collectors, it's the the people who will notice this stuff. So
definitely,
Arrow, keep staying on top of your game. We appreciate it.
I mean, it's impressive that they're even putting this amount of love into these things anyway. So we thank you, Arrow, for being good on your word, being a great company. Shout out to you and your family. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to all 15 followers. We're up 2. We want to keep on growing. We want to keep on delivering you the best quality news and content we possibly can. We want JCVD to be here every single week or every other week, however often these things come out. We won't know, but we want JCVD to be there. We want you to keep on coming back, telling your friends, letting them know of all the great things you're seeing here.
Let us know if we're missing anything.
Yep. Keep us honest. If there's something you want us to cover, you want to hear our thoughts on, if we've seen it, if we care about the release, if the art's any good, whatever, drop a like, drop a comment below. Tell us what it is. Russ, did you have any last words to share with our audience?
Actually, it always surprised me that